Okay, today we're going to start talking about the different types of data and how to describe data once we know what type we've got. But first we're going to start with a quick review of what you learned in 8th grade about functions and how to identify if something is a function or not. And the big rule that we had on functions is that each input has exactly one output. What that means is your x's cannot repeat. So when you're looking at a list in a table or ordered pairs, you look down your x's. If your x's are repeating with different outputs, then you know it's not a function. Otherwise, it will be a function. Not as easy to see that way if you're working with a graph. So if you're working with a graph, then we use the vertical line test. The vertical line test is pretty cool. You just take your pencil or a ruler and you take it vertically, which is straight up and down, along your graph. If you never touch more than one point at a time, you know that you've got a function. You've passed the vertical line test. But if, in this case, if I draw a vertical line right here, I touch the function twice. It failed the vertical line test. It's not a function. So I want you to do on your own, number 1, number 2, and number 3, determining if they're a function or not and why. Pause your video to do this and then start it back up for the answers. Okay, so those are pretty straightforward. Hopefully everything went fine on that. Now let's talk about the two different kinds of data. There is discrete data and continuous data. And the way we describe our data is different depending on if we're dealing with discrete or if we're dealing with continuous. So one of the ways to remember discrete is discrete involves items that you can count. If you can count something, such as the number of people, the number of cars, the number of pizzas, if you're counting them, it's going to be discrete data. The way you can tell if you're dealing with a graph, discrete data is going to be dots, disconnected points, dots. Continuous data usually involves things, well, the easiest way to know is it involves time. But continuous data, measurement, temperature, length, all those things are continuous. They're not separate points. They continue along. So continuous data will be some sort of a line. It doesn't have to go on forever. It could stop right there on both ends, and it's continuous data because between the points, every single value is part of the solution. So what we're going to do is we want to look at number 4 through 10, number 4 through 11, and determine, are we dealing with discrete data, continuous data? So what I want you to do is I want you to do all 11 of these on your own. I want you to pause your video and make sure you understand, and then start the video back up and check out the answers and explanation. Okay, so on number 4, we can count the stories. We're not going to build a building with 4.3825 stories. So this is discrete data. We're dealing with time, continuous. Number of suitcases. You're not going to show up with 5.21 suitcases for the total weight. So each item, we're counting them, makes it discrete. Number 7, time is going to make it continuous. Number 8, this one throws people off a lot. Number 8, no matter what value you make up for x, whether you decide x is going to be 1.2357982, or if x is going to be 5, or whatever number you come up with, y is always going to be -2. So every single value for x, y will still be -2. That makes it continuous. Number 9, this one confuses people occasionally. It's continuous, even though it's got endpoints, because the endpoints have nothing to do with it. It's the fact that you've got an unbroken line between the endpoints. Then number 10, we've got time going on, so it's continuous. And 11, it fails the vertical line test, so it's not a function, but they are separate points or disconnected points, so it is discrete.